Welcome to Council Action. I'm Russell Inman, and joining us tonight to talk about the council meeting is Councilman from Ward 6, Gerard, Henke. It's a pleasure to have you today.
Good to be here.
It was a good meeting tonight.
It was.
I'll get this started. I know Florissant's got a lot going on. So when we get to the kind of the after segment, the after show of the show about what some of the events and happenings, we're going to have quite a bit to fill. So to talk about the meeting a bit, we had hearing from citizens. That's how we usually get things kicked off. This is a chance where you as a resident can come in and talk to the council, tell them what you like or don't like about what's happening in the city, or give ideas. Tonight we had a couple individuals come and speak. Bonnie Grinninger was one that came, and she wanted to make sure people knew about her Jamestown New Horizons golf tournament coming up. It's going to be played here in the city of Florissant at the Florissant Golf Clubs. Tell us a little bit about the date for that, Gerard.
It's going to be scheduled for Saturday, October the 10th, which is going to be a real busy weekend here in Florissant. But this, as you said, Russ, this is for Jamestown New Horizons. For those of you that maybe do not remember, those are the ones that do the horseback riding with the special needs kids. Very, very noble cause. They do wonderful work, and this is a fundraiser, and they chose to have this golf tournament at Florissant Golf Course, which I think we should be proud of. And I would like to urge everyone out there that wants any more information on to contact the Jamestown New Horizons and look for that date, October the 10th at the Florissant Golf Course.
She said they have done 37,000 plus hours of therapeutic horseback riding for these special needs children, and a number of them are located here in St. Louis, or here in Florissant. Right.
They've been around for a long time, because it struck me when I first heard of them. I thought, well, this is an interesting concept, and evidently it does wonders for the children.
They work on a light budget and serve a lot of people. It's really a great organization.
Noble cause.
There was also mentioned, and as the public's starting to hear about Proposition S, the city can talk about that a little bit more, and kind of the coming up. We've got I believe it's a second reading regarding some of the transfer of funds for that Proposition S, so we'll touch on that one then. Public hearings. Let's talk about kind of a business piece, a transition for a barrel baiter.
Okay, that one is, those of you may know, where Max's Meat is off of Howdershell over in the Shackelford Howdershell, where it switches over there. Max's Meat, and they've run a sandwich shop there for a couple years now. Unbeknown, well, everybody knew they were running it, but something fell through the cracks on the special use permit. So what happened tonight is we kind of moved it's not that there were any violations of anything. We just, to get them, not them in compliance, I guess, get the city in compliance to make it legal, I guess, if you will. We moved forward with it to just put in place what should have been there for the last couple of years. It's not that there's a problem at all with the business. In fact, it got high praise. The business got high praise, but it just, technicality, let's get it right, and we did.
And it looks, or at least it sounded like tonight, Barrel was buying this business off from the past owner of the Meat Locker.
I think what they're, if you're familiar with it, Max's Meats is, and there's an opening in the wall between the sandwich shop, and you can go in the front door, or you can go in through Max's Meat. I think what they're splitting it out is what they're doing, and a separate owner's taking over. These guys been running it the whole time anyway, but I think they're just splitting out the businesses from Max's Meats to the sandwich shop. Basically, I don't think anybody will notice a difference in the operation.
Okay. Now they're just doing it kosher style.
Right. There you go. You got that one.
Okay. All right. Let's move to the next one. We had a rezoning of properties. This one got postponed. This was going to be a rezoning for Highway Commercial District known as 2520, 2702, 2700, 2635, and a number of other ones we don't need to go through. Even though this was postponed, can we touch on this for a second?
Sure.
Let the city understand what was going to happen here.
Well, what this was, and once again, it's a housekeeping measure, the way I look at it. Like 2635, I know that's the address for Handyman Hardware. So it's that section of highway up there by Handyman.
Okay.
They were zoned, they're currently zoned B4, and some of the uses that's in there, like the B4 was not supposed to have maybe a restaurant in it, and there's maybe somebody who wants to put a restaurant. They're updating because everything up and down on both sides of it is B3 commercial.
Okay.
So they're just realigning, they're taking another look, and maybe this should have been B3 all along. So to me, it's housekeeping. We'll make that B3, and it just changes. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but the difference: B3, this is allowable. B4, this is allowable. Many of them overlap, but not everything.
Okay.
So B3 will be more in line with what the rest of Lindbergh in that section is.
Excellent. We'll probably get to hear about that in 2 weeks. Then.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. In second readings, we had an ordinance amending a special use permit 8028. This is the Phillips 66 there on Patterson Road. It's really undergoing a major, not even just a facelift, a gut lift.
Right.
And it's had tanks going in.
Right.
Those really started going in probably about 2 weeks ago. And they're trying to get some of that part of the project finished up.
Yeah, they were discussing that tonight about some of the delays in it. They're changing some things. Their bathrooms running outside. They're actually adding walls and putting the bathrooms on the inside, adding more coolers and different things like that.
And those changes, that's what was passed tonight.
Yes. It's been delayed. Evidently, they had some problems with the tanks, which I can understand that. Anytime in-ground gas tanks, the EPA things that are involved with that, the St. Louis County. But I think everybody's ready for it. Let's get done with it. Let's get it open. Let's get that intersection cleared up and put that as a viable business again.
The next item that was passed tonight in the second readings was the permit for Taste Buds Catering, Inc. They're going to operate a catering business and with a special use permit, a restaurant. They're located at 1A Malamphy Garden Shopping Center. Right
there in Malamphy Gardens, and this has been going on for a few council meetings now. But it's going to be a catering for schools that work out of there, which I don't know if you really noticed from the restaurant, from my understanding of it, and a restaurant also in that same location.
This is another a way to kind of dual purpose the facility.
Exactly.
Okay. Ordinance authorizing appropriation of $35,000 from the General Revenue Fund to election expenses, purpose of funding the November 3rd, 2015 election. This is what we started talking about with when we had a citizen come and speak at hearing from citizens about the Proposition S postcard that went out talking about safe streets. So tell us a little bit about why it's going to cost the city $35,000, why they're choosing to do it in November.
Okay. A couple things on it. First of all, the Proposition S, and a lot of times, and no insult intended, a lot of people don't understand how these things work. So they'll get up and they'll make comments without fully understanding, and hopefully you educate them and answer their questions. This authorization is for what it's going to cost. We don't know exactly what we're authorizing, what we think is a sufficient amount. St. Louis County Election Board charges us, the city of Florissant, will bill us for the cost of this election, for the polling places, the workers, the ballots, everything that goes along with running any kind of election. The city wanted to, that's question one, that's where this comes from, okay? It's just because we decided to put this on the ballot. We're looking into now about the number of polling places where Councilman Lee discussed it this evening about possibly talking to them. Can we maybe just need one polling place for each ward rather than multiple for each ward, or just anything to keep the cost of running this election or performing this election down if we can. This Proposition S is sorely needed. It's for safe streets, for fixing the streets, for the hazards in our streets, if you will. Maintenance, upkeep. It's long overdue, and everybody that I've spoken to, and a lot of the other council people, their constituents also are supportive, very supportive of this. And the reason we put it on this ballot, because we don't have anything in the spring ballots we're going to have to put it on at some point in time. So let's get it on a ballot as soon as possible. This should generate, it's just a 1/4 cent sales tax, just for clarification. It's a 1/4 cent sales tax on any goods bought in the city of Florissant, and it will be used exclusively for maintenance and repair of our streets, keeping them safe, okay? There was a question also at tonight's meeting about the flyer that went out, that all the residents got. That flyer, the city can put out informational materials about Proposition S, not endorsing it one way or another, but putting out the informational on it, and that's where that came from. There's also going to be a Proposition S committee, which people will make donations to, that the city cannot spend money on. There'll be things coming out, vote for Proposition S, maybe there'll be yard signs or whatever. That will not be out of city dollars. That will be out of anybody that chooses to donate to that committee. Okay. This will come, they'll be talking about it. One of the things that I was going to touch on, but we're on Prop S right now. Everybody on the council is strongly supporting this because it's a way, this 1/4 cent, which is a very small increase, will generate approximately maybe $1.5 million a year. Will go exclusively for our streets, which is sorely needed. And anybody that's it's one of our up there complaints is the things with the streets. We're going to have a town hall meeting at the Egan Center. That'll be Thursday night at 7. All the council people will be there, the mayor and all the department heads, to discuss that and everything else in the city. That's solely, it's not a Proposition S meeting. It's a regular town hall meeting for all the residents, for all kinds of things in the city of Florissant, all the department heads and that. We're also going to have another one on October the 19th, which is a Monday there, and they're just putting this together now. You'll hear more of it, more on this Proposition S too. It's one of those, I think when everybody understands, first of all, it's a small amount of a tax increase, and to know that it is dedicated solely to our streets with keeping what we have going to the streets now. We're not going to bait and switch. It's not going to take some money from over here and put it over here. It's going to be addition to the revenue that we use on our streets now. So we should see a noticeable difference, not overnight, but in the long run. And I think more people, once you understand it and how big of an impact it can have for such a small cost as a tax increase, I sincerely hope it's supported overwhelmingly.
Well, streets really are the first impression that you get when you walk, when you drive into a municipality or a city. It's almost a determining factor as a prejudgment of how that city's doing.
Right.
So it'd be good to have all of our streets kind of back up to par.
Yeah, and one of them, just on a personal note, a lot of us, that little stretch of Washington there, on the way to Deerbergs, before the Knights of Columbus Park there by the bridges, are a mess down there. And just for the record, I've already talked to some people, that is St. Louis County maintenance there. So we are on St. Louis County maintenance. That's not ours, but we'll work on it.
You're on them. Okay, well, good. Still dealing with money, the next bill was $25,000 from Coke Pool salaries to Coke Pool utilities. This is really just a bookkeeping piece to fund that facility there for the rest of the year.
No additional funds were allocated. They just moved it from this special fund to this thing. There's a couple issues that we're addressing at there. Utilities, there's water leakage, and we're addressing those. But it required some action. So I just want to make sure people know this is not additional revenues or additional monies spent.
Okay. First readings, again, we have the special use permit for the Signature Sandwich Company. That passed. You went ahead and did that with 3 readings tonight. That's a little bit unusual for the city.
It is unusual. In fact, a lot of times we'll tell people that. You know.
And I guess the city decided to go ahead and push for 3 tonight because he's operating and nothing's changing.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it was. There was no controversy around it whatsoever. So.
The other items for first reading were postponed tonight because of the public hearing being postponed. So let's talk about the many events that are going on in the city of Florissant.
Oh, there's a lot of things coming up. Favorite time of the year. My favorite time of the year is fall anyway. I love.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
easy to be outside.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes are starting to go away.
Well, I'll start out with the first one, which you may not, this may be past when this even airs, but the Wednesday night out is actually tomorrow night.
That's right.
At Florissant Old Town Partners, and it's at Hendel's, which is right here on St. Denis Street, 600 block of St. Denis, right across from the old school at Sacred Heart. It's always a good time. There'll be music, dancing, drinks, some food. And Hendel's, as many of you know, or if you don't know, make sure you come by there. To me, it's a little jewel right here in the middle of Old Town. It's an excellent restaurant, and I'm unabashedly a plug for Hendel's, but they deserve it. It's a very nice addition to our part of Old Town. And the Wednesday night out, they'll block the street off, and like I said, there'll be music, and it's just a time to get together with the neighbors, maybe have a cocktails, whatever, and it's a good evening.
Great.
Then following that up, following week, well then Thursday night is I just mentioned a minute ago, the Thursday night is the town hall meeting at 7 o'clock at the Egan Center. And that will be, all the department heads will be there. Some people, in the last one, there was representatives from the school districts, and was well attended. That was during the day. It was like the senior town hall meeting. Everything from A to Z that's involved in the city, whether it be the parks, the roads, public works, nuisance houses. You got a problem, all the council will be there. If you've got a specific complaint or something, that's what we're here for. Come up and talk to us about it. And that'll be Thursday at 7 at the Egan Center. Moving on towards next week, another favorite that a lot of people, and it's really growing in popularity, it's always been popular, is the Food Trucks Nights. That's going to be at the Knights of Columbus, down at the very end of St. Francis. The Knights of Columbus, it's the Food Truck Nights with a K for the Knights of Columbus. That's October the 9th from 5 until 8. The proceeds going for the teen food pantry, which was always a good cause too.
That's probably our last food
It
truck
is.
night, so make sure you make it.
And it's a good time, and it kicks off a whole weekend of events actually. That's the food trucks down at the Shrine. The Shrine's going to be busy all weekend. The Saturday, the next day, the 10th, is the race to the Shrine. It's a 5K event that's going on. That's going to benefit the area parishes. Okay, and it's growing every year also. And that entire 5K route is in Ward 6. Okay, it's a run through Old Town, so I'm real happy with it. I know Councilman Egan is behind it 100%. That's the 5K run. That's to the Shrine, which is the St. Ferdinand Shrine. And then, of course, the big deal. All of them are big deals, I guess. The Fall Festival is Sunday, the October 11th, from 11 to 5. That's all up and down St. Francis Street. There's booths and crafts and food and music and chili cook-off. And I've got an entry in the chili cook-off coming. I've got to.
All right.
We'll see how that works out. But it's the Fall Festival more and more and more. We have the Valley of Flowers in the spring, and that's a huge festival. But the Fall Festival has that more hometown feel. Yeah. The weather's cooler. It's nicer. It's a little more laid back. It's like you said. It's easier to be outside. Less chance of bad weather. And it's quickly grown into one of the favorite events that the city has. Along with that, on the same day, the Florissant Police Welfare Association is having a car show down at the Knights, they did in St. Francis, the same day, to benefit their canine unit. It's a car and motorcycle show that's down there, like I said, at the end of St. Francis, same time, same day. And also during that, a block over from St. Francis is Sacred Heart Parish, and they always have a big deal in conjunction with the whole Fall Festival. There'll be rides and food and big raffle drawings and things like that. So there's plenty to do. Just wander around Old Town, park your car, and wander around Old Town, and lots to do, lots to eat, a lot of friends to meet up with, lots of family. It's a real good feel for our town. It is. It is a good hometown event, real wholesome.
I think the mayor also mentioned Shop Chamber First campaign is going on. We've got his 2016 budget is coming soon for review for the council to kind of work through that.
Well, and work through that is precisely, we'll see how that, budget time is generally, and I'm a fairly new council member, but hopefully I learn quick. It can be the most contentious time of the year because you're dealing with the taxpayers' money. You're balancing the proper use of the money with providing the services. The more that I've gotten involved since being a councilman, this city provides a tremendous amount of public services, senior services, youth services, the parks programs. The city, it's pretty amazing. Well, the city all costs money. It all costs money, and you got to figure out how to make it work.
That's right. Get it placed just right. Yeah. Well, some of the other things that were mentioned tonight, we mentioned at most of the meetings. Team Food is always looking for the team group is always looking for food for the food pantry and for a food drive. So please continue to donate to that. Make sure you're locking your cars. When cars are left unlocked, they're more susceptible to being broken into.
Can I jump on that one?
Please.
The locking the car things is very important. More and more people, at least that I know, more and more people own guns now. For whatever reasons, it's become a hobby with a lot of people. But they're not thinking about it. Be a little bit responsible gun ownership here. Don't leave that gun in your car. Just don't leave it in your car. There's more guns being taken out of cars now because people forget or whatever, for whatever reason, they leave it in the car. If you're going to be a gun owner, don't leave it in your car.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, and I think it was Councilman Joe Egan also mentioned one piece to a blue porch light if you want to support the police officers. It's kind of a trend he saw starting in another municipality.
Yes.
And he thought, you know what, Florissant, we could take that on too.
I like the idea too. Joe brought it up tonight, and he said he got the idea from another council from another city, and it's very simple. It's a blue porch light. You put it on in the evening, just in the evenings, and we're going into fall, it gets dark earlier. Right. And it's just a show of support for your local police department. I think it's a brilliant idea because I know from the people that I've talked to how much our police department, especially here in Florissant, is appreciated and supported.
Absolutely. Gerard, thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate that. We appreciate your membership in the council and all the hard work that you do for it.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I'm Russell Inman. We'll see you next time.